Yeah, I think what's become apparent to me over the years, and certainly our company, is the biggest, most important decisions are a strong balance of both fear and excitement.
EA says their best decisions come from equal parts fear and excitement. But in FC, there's one system where fear has drowned out excitement for more than 10 years. Every football game faces the same universal truth. Most players are bad at defending. Not casually bad, structurally bad. Positioning, timing, tracking runners, these are hard skills, and the floor for defensive competence is far lower than the floor for attacking. EA learned this the hard way. In earlier cycles, when they experimented with reducing assistance, matches didn't become more expressive or skillful. They became overwhelming for the bottom half of the player base, who suddenly couldn't stop even basic attacks. Churn spiked immediately. For the average player, a weak defensive AI doesn't create freedom. It creates helplessness. And helpless players stop playing. So defensive AI isn't just smoothing mistakes. It's preventing the experience from collapsing entirely for the people who need the most support. It becomes the invisible scaffolding that keeps matches playable, winnable, and survivable for tens of millions who would otherwise uninstall. This is why the system rarely receives major changes. It's not simply a mechanic, it's a retention tool. When AI defending goes too far, players complain it's automated. But when EA pulled it back in past cycles, the players who struggle most were the first to walk away. And that's the fear EA still carries. In FC 26, defending isn't a single behaviour. It's a chain reaction of urgency triggers, recovery logic, interception windows, and animation-driven decisions. And when EA weakened any piece of that structure before, the entire defensive model collapsed around it. And that collapse hit one group hardest: the mid-ability players. The ones who rely on assisted positioning to stay in the match. The ones who need recovery logic because manual tracking is too difficult. The ones who lean on automatic interceptions because timing is unforgiving. These players make up the majority of FC's population, and they churn instantly when the game stops protecting them. So the AI fills in the gaps not because EA wants an automated meta, but because the system is designed to prevent early match frustration from turning into player loss. If defending becomes too manual, the gap between good and bad becomes unbridgeable, and that break in competitive viability destroys retention. Once a game is built around that assumption, removing assistance isn't a change. It's pulling out the load-bearing wall. This isn't about balance, it's about survival. EA doesn't just design for skilled players, they design to keep struggling players from quitting. EA has adjusted defensive AI before. Every time the same pattern emerged. The top players adapted quickly, but the bottom players fell apart. Matches became high scoring, flow collapsed, frustration skyrocketed. And the people EA needs to retain the most, the ones who only defend competently because the AI helps them, were the first to churn. And that history shapes EA's modern stance. Defensive AI stabilises match outcomes. It keeps scorelines under control. It prevents weaker players from being overwhelmed by people who understand spacing and timing. In EA's retention model, that stability isn't optional. It's foundational. So when players ask why EA refuses to weaken AI defending, the answer isn't that they can't change it. It's that changing it breaks the very audience the game depends on, the millions who rely on AI support to stay competitive at all. The people shouting for AI nerfs aren't the ones EA is afraid of losing. It's the silent majority who'd uninstall the moment defending becomes too hard. What you feel in FC 26 The automatic blocks, the clean interceptions, the instant shape recovery isn't a sign of neglect. It's the outcome of a system designed to keep weaker players afloat. Skilled players feel it as interference. EA sees it as retention. It's not a tuning oversight. It's the result of a decade of learning what happens when AI defending becomes too manual. The floor collapses before the ceiling even notices. And when the majority churn, the live service breaks. That's why major changes almost never come. The risk isn't competitive imbalance, it's losing the people who need the most help. So the next time the community asks why AI defending hasn't been nerfed, the explanation isn't hidden in patch notes or tuning updates. It's embedded in the behavioural logic the entire franchise relies on. AI defending isn't protecting skilled players, it's protecting everyone else. And unless EA is willing to rebuild the entire defensive model from the ground up and accept the churn that comes with it, this system isn't moving.